It's senior day, Diego Pavia's last dance. Vanderbilt is primed and ready to take down the Wildcats.
You are Locked On Vandy, your daily podcast on the Vanderbilt Commodores, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everybody? Happy Friday. Welcome into another edition of the Locked On Vandy podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the number one sports podcasting network in the entire industry. Got a great show lined up for you guys, but this episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Now, on today's episode, we're going to get into a good bit. I'm gonna end the episode with my SEC picks for you from FanDuel. Of course, I'm going to make a prediction on the Vanderbilt game. That line has moved on FanDuel since. I'm gonna tell you how Vanderbilt's going to do it, and then what's the impact of the win. But most importantly, it is senior day for Vanderbilt. It is Diego Pavia's last dance. Let's get into it. Again, this episode is brought to you by Game Time. As I said, and you can find this wherever you find your podcast and on YouTube as part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So this game's exciting. This game is, I think, what people have been waiting for since Diego Pavia arrived, since Jerry Kill arrived, since the overhaul, right? They've been waiting for this moment. Vandy fans have been waiting for this moment for a long time. Nationally relevant, playing for a playoff spot, and you got to win the next two. But this is step one in that process. So with Diego Pavia, we have to take a second, and with this group of seniors and this group of departing, running out of eligibility players, whether they go to the NFL or not, we have to sit and just appreciate what this group has done. You have to appreciate the group that was with Clark Lea from the beginning, endured all the garbage to get to this point right here. They put in the work, they put in the faith, they held things together while the nucleus was rebuilt. And those guys are the core guys like the Marlen Sewells, the Langston Pattersons of the world. Those guys, tremendous respect. Junior Sherrill, Cedric Alexander, guys that have been around when this program has been crap. And those guys stuck around. Those guys stuck it out. Those guys saw the vision. Then the guys that come in, Diego Pavia, Eli Stowers, tremendous talents, tremendous leaders, tremendous ambassadors for this program. Those guys have spoken more positivity into this program and outwardly to the community and to the world about this program and about the direction of this Vanderbilt program. So we have to appreciate what these guys have done. The union, those guys are, we can call them rentals, but they're here, they bought in, and we certainly appreciate them. Jordan White, especially, is going to go on to have a really nice career in the NFL, I do believe. But everybody that is, and I think the number I heard somewhere was about 45. I didn't count them up. But to all of those guys that are departing, man, we certainly appreciate everything you've done. I think Martell Height is out of eligibility as well. So I think I have to double check on some of these names. It's a lot. So I didn't really put together a big formal list. I just wanted to shout out the group of guys that, especially the ones that have stuck around since day one and stuck around through all the trash heaps and the dumpster fire moments that Vanderbilt has had throughout this process. They're the ones that really deserve the true respect because they saw the vision. They could have hit the portal. They could have gone elsewhere and nobody would have blamed them, but they stuck around and they saw the vision. And it looked bleak at times, especially in 23. It looked bleak, but they stuck around and much appreciation for those guys. And those guys that had the resiliency to stick around through all that will be rewarded in life because their resiliency is phenomenal. So for that, thank you guys. Thank you for your contribution to those that are departing to go on to bigger and better things, whether it's the NFL, whether it's their next career, whatever it may be. wish you extremely well and appreciate everything you've done for this program. And that's the truth. So you got to appreciate those guys. And it's just, it's a testament to what Clark Lea has been able to do. It's a testament to who Clark Lea really is, because these guys, like, it says a lot about a guy for the people to stick around after that bad year, after those lean years, after that first year. I think some of them were here in that first season. Like, it is an absolute testament to those guys, and a testament to Clark Lea about what he's able to do and say, and the belief that he creates within this program, the confidence he creates within this program. For them to see his vision, it's got to be pretty convincing. And I say all of that to say that dude deserves an extension. I don't know if it's on the table. Supposedly they're supposed to be meeting about it. And I don't know I haven't seen anything that's come out of that meeting or supposed meeting. I don't know if and when a contract extension is happening. But Vanderbilt, if you have any sense about you, administration, Candace Lee, Chancellor Diermeyer, if you have any sense about you, Clark Lea is your guy. Clark Lea is your guy. He's got a vision. He's got a plan. He's got the staff. He's got the roster. He's got guys on board coming in. He's flipped a few commits. I think he'll clean up in the portal as well. I think there's a potential for a special quarterback to join the team, to jump on board, whether it's Jared Curtis, whether it's whoever. I don't know if it's somebody that's already on the roster. That's going to play itself out. But nonetheless, Vanderbilt has a chance to do something special, and that's become a sustainable program that is steadily rising. And for that to happen, you got to give Clark Lea, you got to extend him, and you've got to see this thing through. New facilities, a bigger NIL budget, and just basically say, let's take the clamps off this thing. And if Vanderbilt wants to be a great university, you got to spend like a great university, and you've got to invest in all of that. Because in the South, it's great. The degree is phenomenal, taking nothing away from that. But when your school becomes very popular culture-wise, it just makes it an enjoyable place to be. People will want to come, even if it is challenging. People will want to show up, enroll, and be a part of this new journey, and be a part of filling up First Bank in black and gold and making it not a home away from home for teams. And I think you have a chance to do that with some facility upgrades, with some things that you can do for the fans and for the students to make football an enjoyable experience. Basketball, you helped them out a little bit. Baseball has been enjoyable. Now it's time for football to get on board, and you have a chance to do that. So you need to go ahead and do that. Or you're going to be looking at Auburn or Florida and wondering what could have been. Because if you're not going to commit to him, he loves this place, but if you're not going to fully commit to him, those are the things that can happen. So to me, it's a slam dunk. You give him the extension and you roll. And you absolutely roll. You open the wallets, you open the banks, you just say, hey, we're going to commit to this. Why? Because we can. Why? Because Vanderbilt can be a force in college football. And they have the staff to do it. They have the roster to do it. They have the sustainability to be able to do it. Now they just have to actually do it. And that's the next step. So you win this game, you take a step in that direction. You win this game, you get to 9 wins, and you go into Tennessee with the tables completely turned. How bizarre is this statement, considering the history? Tennessee could play spoiler to Vanderbilt's playoff hopes. How bizarre of a headline would that be? But that doesn't happen if you don't win this game. That doesn't happen if you don't go out and take care of business against Kentucky. And that's the next step. And I think this group is motivated and mature enough to do so. And I think, there's a part of you that probably says they've never been in this spot before. They've never been on the cusp of, their 9th win being one that's going to put them in prime position for a college football playoff spot. Like, you've never thought that before. And Vanderbilt has never kind of ever been in that situation before. So you do wonder in the back of your mind, are they going to be ready for this moment? And that's the thing that lingers in the back of your mind. But I think if this team, it's this particular team, I think they are. I think they are ready, and I think they will do it. I'll go ahead and spoil my pick. I think they do it. And so that's something that everybody's looking forward to. But man, just give Clark Lea that extension, boost the morale's already pretty good, but that'll give you an extra jolt. It'd be like, okay, Clark is taken care of. The staff is taken care of. There's going to be some continuity. That's what Vanderbilt needs, and that'll be so good for the future of this program if you can make that happen. So that needs to happen, and I think the implications are pretty obvious. If Diego has a big game, he's one step closer to New York. If this team gets a win, they're one win away from a potential playoff spot. Now they'll have to get some help, and they'll have to get some help from the committee to put them in, because there's going to be a mess down there towards the bottom of the thing. So they could potentially win 10 games and get left out. That is a possibility. So, but you win 10 games, you let the committee decide. That's all you can do. That's all you can do. So I say this game is important, but how do they actually go out there and win this game? What are the keys to success? How do they win this game? We'll talk about it next. First, I want to talk to you about game time, because guess what, man? College football is on fire. It is so back. And I couldn't be more excited. The tailgates, the rivalries, the energy in the stands. There's nothing like it. But let's be real. Actually getting tickets can feel more like a battle than the game itself. You have endless queues, hidden fees, prices jumping at checkout. It's not good at all. But you know what? That's why I use Game Time, the app that gives the advantage back to the fans, because it's the easiest way to score last-minute tickets at the best prices with no surprise fees. What you see is what you pay, and that's a big double thumbs up, right? So I pulled up Game Time, and just a couple taps, I saw amazing deals. I'm talking about your favorite college football games for as low as $25. And the app made it super simple. I could click, and I could see the exact view from my seat before I bought. Man, that was incredible. Zone deals. Pick the section. Game Time picks the seats. You save big. And honestly, it's faster, cheaper, and less stressful than any other way that I've bought tickets. So take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. All right, thanks for making Locked On Vandy your first listen. Thanks for making Locked On Podcast Network number one in the industry. Thank you for all of that. Now, we talked about the importance of this game. We talked about the importance of signing Clark Lea to an extension. You don't want to lose somebody like that to Auburn. You don't want to lose somebody like that to Florida. You have the resources. Use them. Okay? So, keys to victory. How do they win? It's important to win. They're in a playoff hunt. Diego's got to have a good game. How do you win? Like this. Offensively, maintain the momentum. It's real simple. It's not easy, but it's simple. Maintain momentum that you've had from the last few games. Explosive plays, controlling the line of scrimmage, being able to run, being able to kind of get in a rhythm. And that's very simple to do against Kentucky. They're playing pretty good defense, so it's not necessarily easy to do, but I think – for Diego Pavia, you have to, just have the same type games. Like Vanderbilt has become more of an explosive team than they were at the beginning of the season. At the beginning of the season, they were ball control. They were going to get you chunk plays in the run game. They were going to hit a couple of quick throws, screens to kind of get some of those chunk yardage plays, but now they're hitting stuff down the field. Now they're ripping off chunks in the passing game. And a lot of it's going through Eli Stowers. Some of it's going through Junior Sherrill. Some of it's going through Trey Richardson. Like there's some guys getting involved in the passing game. The tight ends have been a tremendous role in the passing game this whole season with Cole Spence. And even Bryson Coleman has gotten in on a few things early in the season. So there's a lot here with this offense. They just got to stay hot, and they've got to stay in rhythm, and they've got to come out on fire from the word go. If you come out scoring your first 2 drives and you can get a 3 and out at some point and you can limit points, I think this offense right now, as we speak, is explosive enough to really create some separation from Kentucky and put Kentucky in a blender to where Kentucky will almost just kind of get overwhelmed. And at times that they've gotten overwhelmed this season, they've essentially shut down and been ineffective. And that's something that, it's a demoralizing thing when the offense is just ripping chunk play after chunk play, and they're just moving up and down the field. I mean, I don't know that there's a more demoralizing 3 quarters than what Texas did to us a few weeks ago, where it just didn't seem like it didn't matter what they did. They could just flip it out to a wide receiver sideways, and he was going to run to the house 75 yards. They were ripping off slants, hitches, curls, crossing routes. They were ripping off big runs. It just didn't seem like they could do anything wrong. And that was a very demoralizing feeling. But, Kentucky's a team that's had enough failure to where if you get them to that, demoralized point, they may not be able to recover. Vandy's been able to recover because they're a mature team that's experienced a lot of winning this year, which, again, you say in the same sentence, Vanderbilt is a team that's experienced a lot of winning. That still seems odd to say, but very soon that's not going to be an odd statement. Very soon, Vanderbilt is you're just going to kind of get used to it. And right now, I don't think people are used to that. So offensively, you just got to stay with what you got. Defensively, eliminate space, make it difficult on Boley, take away the quick stuff, and tackle. And then, of course, you limit chunk plays. Kentucky's going to get some chunk plays. They're going to, Kendrick Law is too explosive to not have some chunk plays down the field. That's going to happen. But if it happens fewer and far between, I think you're going to be able to have a little bit more success because they're going to have to earn just about everything. And I think the key to stopping the bleeding against Auburn was limiting their chunk plays. And I think just making them earn their way down the field. They just didn't have the rhythm to go 12, 13 plays later on in the game. And I think that was a big, big difference. And they didn't do anything earth-shattering defensively. They still gave up a lot of points. They gave up almost 600 yards. But they controlled – they were able to take back control of the tempo of the game. Even though the game was a shootout, you felt in the second half, you felt that control and momentum shifting over to Vanderbilt's side because they were able to get a few stops. They were able to limit the marches down the field. It wasn't so automatic for Auburn. And I think for a team like Kentucky, who is surging right now, the Kentucky Wildcats are on fire. Cutter Boley is going to be a phenomenal quarterback in this league, and I'm very excited to see what happens next with him. I don't know if he's going to hit the portal or not, but I think his future is very, very bright for the Kentucky Wildcats. It's just that with this team and with the things that are built around them, I don't know that they're cut out to score on continuous 12-play, 10, 12, 13, 14-play drives on a consistent basis. I don't think they're built like that. So defensively, you've just got to take away the stuff short. You've got to tackle. You've got to come up on a screen. You've got to squeeze it and tackle it. You've got to cut down space. You've got to affect the quarterback. You've got to get in his throwing lanes, hit him a few times, things like that. He's a great quarterback, but he is not as seasoned as the other guys were, and to be able to withstand some of that. And there's a chance you could get him rattled. And I think defensively, you have to do everything you can to get him rattled. I think the offense is, I can say it until it doesn't happen, but they're explosive enough to be able to score pretty frequently and put a lot of pressure on Kentucky's offense. And I think that kind of changes the tone of the offense too. So the offense can really play some good complementary football by putting that scoring pressure onto Kentucky and seeing how they handle that. And lastly, for this, the college football playoff is still on the table. Just go out and get it. Go win some more. Make the committee try to figure out what to do, because there's some decisions they're going to have to make. And so you're going to have to, Like, the only thing you can do to get in the playoff is force the committee to a decision. Do we leave a 10-2 SEC team out that's been a bottom dweller for a long time? That's a tough one. That is a tough decision. So when I say all of that, I say that there's going to be a little bit of pressure here, but also there's going to be pressure on Kentucky's side too. So you got to tip the balance in your favor against them and be able to say, okay, well, we're going to put, you have the pressure of making a bowl game. You want to make a bowl game. Well, you're also going to have to try to keep up with us scoring wise, because Diego's looking for a Heisman. He's looking for an invite to New York, and he's going to put it together. He's going to put some points on, so he's going to put some pressure on you there, on top of your let's make a bowl game pressure, and some. I don't know if anything's going on behind the scenes with Mark Stoops that shouldn't. He's the right coach as long as he wants to be there. But I don't know. It's Kentucky, and stranger things have happened as far as coaching searches. So, you never know in the world of college football and coaching searches. They could, but I think for Vanderbilt, they've got to be the ones to be applying the pressure and not feeling the pressure, right? Hey, we're a college football playoff team, and we're going to act like it. We're going to constrict you, and put the pressure on you to fight your way out of it and upset us and take us down. It still seems odd, but Vanderbilt is the Goliath in this situation, and they have to not let David take them down. That's very odd to say, but it's the truth. Vanderbilt's the playoff team, the playoff contender. Vanderbilt is the Heisman contender. Kentucky was dead last at one point. They're not anymore, but they were. And there's still a little bit of that left. So they've got to be able to take to the pressure, and they've got to be able to do it. So what's going to happen in this game? Well, you're going to have to find out next, and you're going to also find out some of my picks from around the league also next. All right, talking about FanDuel, and talking about a perfect segue to my next and final segment, is we're going to make some picks that are presented by FanDuel for college football in the SEC. But also want to tell you that the NBA is back too, and there's no better way to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. So even if you missed the start of the game or want to ride a hot hand, FanDuel has live bets from everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team is making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. And also the betting partner that is fueling my picks. So when you go play some NBA games, play these picks too, if you wish. And we'll talk about them coming up next. All right, wrapping up here. Locked On Vandy coming at you on the daily at Locked On Vandy on all social media platforms. Thank you for listening. Thank you for making Locked On number one. So let's get right into it. Let's jump right into it, man. We've been talking all this stuff this week about contract extensions, playoff predictions, Heisman hopeful stuff. Is there, what is going on? So let's talk about the game itself. We haven't done a whole lot of that. Here's the line. It was 9.5 earlier this week. FanDuel has it minus 8.5. There's other betting sites that have it up as high as 10.5. So it's kind of fluctuating across the board with some odds makers, but FanDuel has it sitting at 8.5. So that's what I'm going to go with. Kentucky traveling to Vanderbilt. That's a 2:30 game. The over-under is 54.5. I'm taking Vanderbilt minus 8.5. I think this is a game that they can pull away and create some separation late, but it's going to be kind of tight for most of the way. I don't love this spread, but I love it better than the 9.5 because you can win by 8 point, or you can win by 9 points and get a cover, so you can win by less. There's some scenarios. You still kind of have to win by by 10 points or more to get a cover here. But I do think Vanderbilt is capable of kind of creating some separation and then just kind of holding on to that lead. And I think it's either going to be create a lot of separation early in the first and first part of the second quarter, and then just kind of hold on to it for the rest of the game, or it could be back and forth, and then coming out of halftime could be one of those things where Vandy just takes off and soars. Either way, I think they win by 10. It's going to be kind of like a 34-24 type game, 34-21 type game for Vanderbilt, where you get that last exclamation point touchdown where you're like, whew, that kind of thing. Or like a later touchdown where you're just like, whew, and then they just kind of hang on. So that's my pick on that. As far as the over under 54.5, I think there'll be a decent amount of points scored. So I wouldn't hate taking the over on that. I wouldn't suggest putting any real money on the over. But if you're feeling froggy, I would take the over more so than the under in this game, because I can see it kind of getting into a small score fest. It's not going to be like a 45-38 type score fest that the Auburn game was, but I can see it getting into a little bit of one before it calms down at certain points. So that's kind of where I'm at on that game. So to recap real quick, Vandy minus 8.5 is my pick for this game. I know a lot of people that I've talked to think Vanderbilt will win, but they won't win by the 8.5 spread or 9.5 spread at the time I was talking to them. So a lot of people I talked to picked Kentucky. It was mainly just because they were going to pick the point spread with that. And when you're picking against the spread, I guess that stuff matters. So to Clark Lea, a 1-point win is a win. And that kind of gets you there too. So Vandy minus 8.5. I like it. I think I'm going to go with it. Now, what are the other picks from around the conference? It's a cupcake week. So I struggled to find some games to pick from around the Southeastern Conference. I try to keep it at home here with the and make sure in the comments, make sure you drop your picks below either other game, the Vandy game, of course, but some other games as well. Like, who are you picking? Who are you liking out there in week 13? Here's who I like right here. For the audio people, I like Oklahoma minus 8.5. Texas minus 9.5, and Coastal plus 25.5 against South Carolina. So I'll start with Oklahoma. Minus 8.5 against Missouri. I know that seems like a big number, but that defense is rolling. Bo Pribula is questionable. I just don't see a scenario where he plays. I just don't, because against that defense, like, you're going to go out there. And that ankle's got to be 100%. And I just don't think this is the game that you throw him out there to. I just feel like that's kind of wrong. But I don't know. Maybe he feels good. I don't know. I mean, I'm not following the Mizzou practice reports, and I'm definitely not talking to Bo Pribula. So I don't know for sure, but it just seems like bum ankle or freshman quarterback. Neither of them gives you warm and fuzzies about going against that Oklahoma defense. Texas minus 9.5, mostly because Arkansas can't stop a nosebleed. And they're just not very good, and they're a team that's just declining, so to speak. It is an old Southwest Conference rivalry. So there's that. They hate each other. I don't know if that's going to play any factor in this game, because Texas is just worlds better than Arkansas. So I'm taking Texas minus 9.5. I think they win by 14 or more. I think it has blowout potential. So give me the Longhorns in that one. And of course, Coastal Carolina plus 25.5. South Carolina, they're broken, dude. And I just don't trust them to cover a 25-point spread. I don't necessarily think they're losing, but if they win by 3 touchdowns, that's not a cover. So I'm taking Coastal Carolina there over the Gamecocks. Lenore Sellers, it's just something up with them, and I don't know if it's coaching or just I don't know, but there's something up with him, and there's something up with this team, and they're just on the struggle bus. They jump out to a 30-point lead and lose against Texas A&M. I get it. It's Texas A&M. They're good, but they were playing the worst football they've ever played. You had them on the canvas, and you let them up, and then they knocked you out. Not good. I'm not saying they're going to lose to Coastal, but 25.5 is a really, really big number. So that's going to do it. That's going to wrap it up. If you go to the game this weekend, enjoy the game. I'm working on details as far as getting myself to the game. It's not quite as easy for me with things I've got going on here at home. There's more challenges that present themselves to me. So I'm trying to work some of those challenges out. I may be or maybe not going to this game. So that's a game time decision. Good quote there. But if you do go, be careful, have fun, be safe, enjoy the game, enjoy the rest of this ride, man, because it's a special ride for Vanderbilt. And if you like the show, tell a friend, come back, like, subscribe, all of that good stuff. Wherever you find your podcast, or whether it's whether it's Apple, Spotify, or right here on YouTube, thank you for making me part of your day, and thank you for the engagement, and thank you for being who you are and making this show what it is and making this network what it is, which is number one. So with that, I'm Corey Burton. Thanks for tuning in. Locked on Vandy, anchor down. Peace.